Hello guys and welcome back to this new video. Today we will cover an amazing game between Grandmaster Abdusattorov from Uzbekistan and Indian Grandmaster Gukesh. Gukesh so far has been having a fantastic tournament. He scored 8.5 from 9 games. He didn't lose any game, only drew once against Mamadiyara. And today it's the ultimate challenge as he's facing one of the youngsters from his generation. So without further introduction, let's see how this game went. Gukesh is playing with the white pieces and he starts with d4. Knight to f6 by Abdusattorov and now c4. e6, knight to f3, d5 and now knight to c3. This is very standard, the queen's gambit declined, and here Abdusattorov decides to play the Ragozin and he goes bishop to b4. Gukesh already faced this in round 6 against Sergesian and he played queen to a4. And in this game also he went for the same move. Knight to c6, defending the bishop, and now e3, short castle, and now bishop to d2. And in the game between Gukesh and Gabriel Sergesian, the Armenian player simply captured on c4. And after bishop capture on c4, bishop back to d6 and queen to c2, black here went for e5. E capture on e5, knight capture on e5, bishop back to e2, knight capture on f3, and now g capture on f3. And this was a very interesting move that Gukesh used to surprise his opponent. Now he opened the g file for his rook, and he also castled long, and he immediately started attacking the black king, and he won an amazing game from this position. And you can of course check it out if you want. We already covered it in a previous video, and it's definitely worth watching. So let's go back to our game. Here Abdusattorov played a5. Now a3, bishop capture on c3 and bishop capture on c3. Knight back to e7 and queen to c2. b6 by Abdusattorov, preparing maybe bishop to b7 or also bishop to a6. And now b3, bishop to a6, a4, knight to e4 hitting the bishop, and now bishop back to b2. Knight back to c6 and now bishop to a3. White is attacking the black rook, and the black here decides to block with his knight. Bishop capture on b4 and a capture on b4. Bishop to d3 attacking the knight, and here Abdusattorov decided to play it safe and he simply retreated his knight to f6 to defend the h7 pawn. But here there was a very interesting idea. He could have played knight to c3. And now after bishop capture on a7, king to h8 and bishop back to d3, d capture on c4, bishop capture on c4, bishop capture on c4, and b capture on c4. Here you can go c5. And after d capture on c5, b capture on c5, of course black is down a pawn, but he has an amazing knight, and also he has a passer on the b file, and his pieces are very active, and he can have a fantastic game. But instead here Abdusattorov decided to retreat his knight to f6, and now simply short castle. c5, d capture on c5, and b capture on c5. e4 by Gukesh, d capture on e4, and bishop capture on a4. Rook to a7, and now knight to e5. White now is targeting the c6 square. He wants to fork both the queen and the rook, so you have to move your queen to d6. Rook to e1, and now knight capture on e4. Queen capture on e4, and now rook to d8. Queen to f3, targeting f7, and now queen to c7 defending. Rook on a to d1, and now rook back to a8. Rook capture on d8, rook capture on d8, and the rook to d1. And here black's position is actually worse. You have either to trade the rooks, or simply go rook to f8 and defend passively. And after the trade of the rooks, the c5 pawn will be very weak and will probably drop. But here Abdusattorov played the move which completely loses on the spot. He went rook to c8. But luckily for him, Gukesh didn't manage to find the winning move. He played queen to g3. Here you should play queen to h5. And the main difference between these two moves is that now you are of course defending your knight, but also you are targeting f7. And the white's threat now is to play rook to d7. For example, here after queen to e7, rook to d7, queen back to e8, queen capture on f7, queen capture on f7, rook capture on f7, and rook to d8, rook to d7, rook capture on d7, and knight capture on d7. Here black is already down a pawn, and also the c7 pawn will drop, and the a and c pawns will simply be unstoppable. So here black is just lost, but Gukesh didn't find all this. He simply played queen to g3. And this is still winning, but it's not very direct anymore. Black here went h5, h3, rook to d8, rook capture on d8, queen capture on d8, now knight to d3. White is targeting c5, h4 by black. You cannot capture because the knight will drop. And here Gukesh played queen to e3, putting more pressure on c5. Bishop to b7, and now you can of course capture, but there is this annoying queen to d1 check. King to h2, queen to d6 check, and now you have to play f4. And now the black bishop sits on a fantastic diagonal, which means that black will have some counterplay, but Gukesh simply didn't want to allow this, and here he simply played f3. And now after shutting down this bishop, you can safely collect the pawn on c5. Now queen to d6 and king to f1. White is trying to get his king closer to the queen so that he can block the check on d1 by putting his queen on e1. And now black goes e5. Knight capture on c5. The bishop is attacked, so bishop back to c8. King to e1 controlling d1. Now bishop to f5. Again retreat of queen to d1. Now simply a5. White starts mobilizing his pawn. Queen back to c7 attacking the pawn, and now a6. Bishop to c8 and now knight to d3. Bishop capture on a6 and queen capture on e5. And here black went queen to b6. Of course here you cannot trade queens if you simply trade on e5. After knight capture on e5, the b pawn is on a dark square, which means that the bishop cannot defend it, and probably the pawn will fall, and this two will simply decide the game. So here obviously you don't trade queens, and Abdusattorov goes queen to b6. Now black is threatening to go queen to g1 and simply knight to c5 blocking the diagonal. Queen to a5, now king to d1. Queen to d8 check and king to c2. White is trying to get his king to the queen side. Now the bishop is attacked, so bishop back to c8. Knight back to e4 and bishop to e6. And up until this position, white is still having an advantage. It's mainly because of his passer on the c file and also the weak pawn for black on b4. But here white plays a move that gives black a chance to get back into the game. He went king to b1, which was completely unnecessary, and also it allows for queen to a8. Now black is threatening queen to a3, and then he will pick up the b3 pawn, which is very bad. So here you have to defend b3, and white goes knight to c5. Queen to a3 check, and king back to b1. g6 by black. g6 is preparing bishop to f5, which will be disastrous, so you have to move your king. King to c2. Queen to a2 check, and queen block on b2. Bishop to f5 check, now knight to e4. Queen to a7, we already know that black doesn't want to trade queens, and also black here after queen to a7 is threatening to infiltrate the position via e3, so here king to d3. Queen to g1, now queen to c2. White is threatening to push his pawn, and black simply blocks with his queen on c5. You cannot track the queen because of the pen. Now queen to d2. Queen back to g1, and now king back to c2. Queen to a1 and king to d3. Queen back to g1, and here Gukesh doesn't want to simply repeat the position, and he goes queen to e2. Queen to a7, and now queen to e3. White is harassing black with the trade of queens, and the black simply declines and he goes queen to a2, attacking the b3 pawn and also the g2 pawn. Now after king to d4, queen capture on g2, knight to g5. White now is threatening to go queen to e7 and target f7. Now simply f6, attacking the knight. Queen to e8 check, king to g7, queen to e7 check, and king to h6. Knight to f7 check, and king to h5. And here you cannot simply capture the pawn, because after queen gives a check, king to d5, queen capture on f3 with check, king to d6, queen to e3. Now black is threatening to go queen to e6 with a disastrous check, and also he is threatening to capture the pawn on h3, and white's position is just falling apart. So here Gukesh simply goes king to c5, now queen capture on f3, queen capture on f6, and now queen to e3 check, king capture on b4, and now bishop capture on h3, knight to e5, and now queen to d2 check, king to b5, and now bishop to d7 check, king to c5, queen to e3 check, king back to b4, and now bishop to f5, stopping the mate on g6. White now gives a check on h8, and now simply black blocks with his queen. Queen to d8, white is trying to give a check on d1, and also he's controlling the d2 square, so the black queen doesn't have access to it. But now simply queen to g7. And here Gukesh was under immense pressure. He had less than 1 minute on the clock, and now his knight is attacked. And this seemed like a natural move, you simply remove your knight, and he went knight to f3. But this is simply a decisive blunder. After queen to b7 check, you simply resign the game. You are in check and the knight also is attacked, and next move black will just capture the knight, and this is the end. For example, after you remove your king, queen capture on f3, queen to h8 check, king to g4, queen to d4 check, queen to f4, queen to d1, king to g5, queen to g1, and now simply king to h5, queen to d1 check, and now bishop to g4. And now there is simply one check left in the position, and if you go queen to d5, Black will simply block with his queen, and now you are forced to trade queens and you are just lost. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell to get our latest videos. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.